Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be on this earth. This is MUSAU MattmeachamJR, broadcasting from Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa. Time 7 a.m. Today's date 4/9/23. Basically, babe, I would like to continue my discussion on E equal MC squared. But I want to take it a little bit further because now I've come up with my three variables, and I think indeed I know how to use these variables. If you know anything about the formula by Albert Einstein, E equal mc squared, you know that many, many things came from that particular formula. That formula is called, I think it's called the theory of relativity. And that's what I want to discuss this morning. Now, my contention has always been that when Einstein made this discovery of this particular formula, that many things sprung out from his discovery. And one of the most atrocious developments was the development of the atomic bomb, which led to the development of the nuclear bomb and all those other bombs which followed. But unfortunately, the only thing that you can do with a bomb is kill people. The only thing you can do with a bomb is to destroy property. What can you do with a bomb? A bomb is an instrument of destruction. I've contended throughout my campaign for a formula to save humanity. I maintain that there are three variables, and I have explored all three. But I've talked extensively on infinitive. If you've been following me, you know my formula has three variables, just like Einstein's formula had three variables. His was E for energy equal m for mass, and then c for the speed of light squared. My formula has three variables. Y for infinitive, L for love, and C for communication. What I'm going to do with my formula at this moment, I'm going to put the I on one side of the equation, which is I is equal to infinitive. And then on the other side of the equation, I'm going to put L and C. If you have been following me, you know that I means infinitive, L means love, and C means communication. And at this point in time, I have not discussed the C variable. I would proceed to discuss the C variable this morning here in Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa. If you have been following me, you know that I isolated I as infinitive. I isolated L for love. And I did a small discussion on the L variable. And I will be coming back to the L variable. I was excited over the I variable. And I did I think I did some pretty good discussions on the I variable. And I will get back to the I variable. But now I will discuss the communication, or the C variable, which represents communication. Now, I'm going to play with this formula. I'm going to play with these variables, and I'm going to come up with different operations and see what happens. But right now, let's say that I, which is infinity, in my equation, I is infinitive, equals LC, love, C, communication. I'll start with this particular expression. It may not be the final expression, but we have to start somewhere. So this is how my formula looks at this moment. My formula looks like this. I equal LC. We're going to put a question mark for it may be squared, it may be cubed, but right now we're just exploring and experimenting. But I still have to isolate the C variable, which is communication. And this is my first effort trying to determine what this C mean. What does this C, communication, mean? Communication, C, communication. If we, as a species, intend and desire to exist perpetually, we must find a common communication. Of course, humanity has thousands of different languages, different linguistics. But we had better come up with a form of communication that we all understand. Once we come up with that understanding of that communication, I think it's a plus toward the preservation of humanity. We need to talk. We need to discuss. We need to experiment and explore together. Humanity as a whole. Let's discuss communication. Let's start first with mass communication. Mass communication. Communication for the masses. If you look at the concept of mass communication, there's a subset. There is a subset to mass communication. We have mass communication, and then we have subset A. Art and entertainment. Art and entertainment is a subset of mass communication. And I think that if we explore art and entertainment, we may be able to come up with some concepts that would help us to understand the concept of mass communication. Communication for the masses. But see, we have to dissect this. Let's just take music as a form of communication. If you have seen some of my earlier broadcasts, I made this statement, and I still maintain that art and entertainment defines ethnicity. Okay, I can break it down. There are some people who we call hillbillies. There's some called hillbilly music. There are some people who we call uh, African Americans. There is an African American music. Or there are some people who are Spanish or Latin. We are defined not only by the way we speak, the way we talk, but ethnicity is defined through the arts. For each ethnicity, there is a tune, and those tunes are different from the other tunes. Now, what does this have to do with the survival of humanity? Well, mankind has to learn to communicate. We have to learn to talk to each other. But then it's so designed we cannot talk. If I'm Spanish and you're Chinese and you speak Chinese and I speak Spanish, put us in a room together. Can we actually communicate verbally? But perhaps we could communicate with body language and so forth. But could we actually, one person speaking Spanish and one speaking Chinese, can we actually communicate verbally? But we are human. Human communication. Human communication, I believe, derives from art and entertainment. You know the guy okay. Let's think about art, dramatic entertainment. Dramatic entertainment derived from religious ceremonies. No matter what society, I don't care how you classify the society. You may say this society is sophisticated, or you may say this society is primitive. But if you study different sociological settings, there is ritual. Ritual is different from one sociological setting to another. But ritual derives from religion. There are different religions. What? Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, many others. So it is my belief that every every society performs ritual. And this ritual is dedicated to their existence. We're talking communication. We're talking humanity. Communication. Okay, here's a plan. Look at this plan. Let's say that there was a movement, a cultural movement, an art movement, where each sociological regiment exchanges its views on art and entertainment. To simplify it, let's say that you got artists, entertainers from, let's say, the Congo in Africa. Let's say you got maybe 1,000 entertainments from the DRC. And let's say you have 1,000 entertainments or entertainers in U.S. And let's say that you sent 1,000 Congolese entertainers to U.S. and 1,000 U.S. entertainers to Congo to let them see and to let us see certain types of entertainment. We learn through entertainment. We become friends through entertainment. We learn and communication. I'm still talking communication. Okay, now remember, we've already isolated. We have already isolated three variables. One, infinitive. Two, love. And now I'm beginning to deal with the issue of the C variable, communication. How best for mankind to get along with each other? How best without his talking to each other? Okay, you have the United Nations and you have all these different international um, entities. You had nations, you had these type of entities when Hitler dehumanized a whole population. So what I'm saying is perhaps the way that we determine international entities, and I'm sure the ideal for these international entities, the ideal is to have peace amongst nations. But it's quite interesting, though we have these international entities that try to keep peace amongst nations, there's always war. There's always war. And the wars will get worse. Excuse me. The wars will get worse as time passes. Basically, because of the bombs of mass destruction. Okay. I'm still dealing with E equal MC squared. What I'm trying to do, my formula, is a reaction to E equal MC squared. And at this point in time, I'm dealing with the variable C, communication, which is essential in my formula. Yeah. Let's review. And I will come back to C, the variable, which equals communication. But I would like to just make a few more comments on I equals infinitive. Yeah. This leads to another statement which I made previously. Infinitive is almost the same. It's interesting how I say it. In infinitive, or I equal infinitive, or infinitive. Infinitive is almost like everlasting. And we say something like everlasting, then we move to a level of theology. Now we have infinitive. We have L for compassion or love. We have C for communication. And when we deal with the idea of communication, we begin to explore the concept of mass communication and the subsets of mass communication. One of the subsets of mass communication is the performing arts. And that's what I would like to discuss. Because I think that through through the performing arts and the interchange, the cultural interchange of performing arts amongst nations, I think that's a way to save humanity. Why? Because what is happening is we have entertainers that instead of us using guns, rifles, and weapons of mass destruction to deal with humanity, will not let the artists, those who entertain, those who make people laugh, those who make people come out, forget their miseries. Music, platform, performance. So at this point in time, I'm talking about communication, a subset of communication, mass communication. I'm talking about the arts, entertainment. I'm saying that maybe as I dig and plunge and get my variables and move them here and there and perform certain operations, I may eventually come up I may eventually, and I will come up with the formula. Just as Einstein came up with his formula, E equal mc squared. Three variables. Three variables. When we look at E equal mc squared, we're looking at what? MC mod MC squared. We are looking at at first we're looking at about 2-3 operations performed on these variables. So what I plan to do, now that I have isolated my variables, now is the time for exploration. Just as I'm sure that when Einstein got his E equal mc squared, he played with it. He looked at it. He discussed it. He discussed this concept with colleagues and so forth and so forth and so forth. So I have my variables, but I have an issue with my operation. My variables are I, L, and C. And I'm going to, at this initially, I'm going to put I on the left side of the equation and the operation on the other side of the equation. That's just the beginning. I'm still experimenting, but I have my variables. I, C, and L. I, L, and C. I for infinite, L for compassion and love, and C for communication. What I have to do is do more contemplation, more study, more observations on the three variables that I have selected. And then taking these variables and manipulating them and interpreting them and explore with them, then I should come up with the formula to save humanity. So from E equal mc squared has evolved I equal C, I equal LC, question mark, squared, cubed, I don't know. We're at the beginning stages. How can we save humanity? Given that the formula for mass destruction already is detected, has already been discovered. How do we save mankind? I think we have to also consider theology. So the thing is, we still have a long ways to go to come up with the formula. So as I begin to study and play with the variables and explore the variables and see what type of operations I can come up with, then I think we will come closer to some type of way of saving humanity. This is MUSAU MattmeachamJR signing off in Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa.